Chapter 13:10. Phew. Lu Ming let out a long breath and opened his eyes. Crackle. His body moved slightly, and there was a sound like frying beans. His skin was covered with a thick layer of dirt, which were all impurities. What a powerful force. Lu Ming sensed it slightly and found that his body was full of explosive power. This was pure physical power, not the power of true essence. Moreover, Lu Ming felt that his qi and blood were abundant to the extreme. With a thought, his qi and blood would rush out of his body and burn like a furnace, full of powerful vitality. Lu Ming, how is it? Xian Yinqing blinked and asked. About 10%. Lu Ming said. A pure spirit body could not be achieved overnight. It needed to be cultivated step by step to perfection. Now Lu Ming could be considered to have cultivated a pure spirit body, which was about 10%. Xiaoqing, next you do it. I'll guard you. Lu Ming said. Okay. Xian Yinqing nodded and began to cultivate a pure spirit body. 108 paths appeared on her body. The cultivation process was the same as Lu Ming's. She absorbed the origin qi of the origin stones and tempered her body. A few days later, Xian Yinqing finished her cultivation. Like Lu Ming, she had also reached 10%. Let's go out and clean up, Lu Ming said. His body was covered with a layer of dirt, which was really uncomfortable. The two of them came out of the mountain river diagram and jumped into the sea to clean up. Boom. In the sea, Lu Ming punched out. This punch did not use true essence, nor the power of bloodline. It was purely the power of the physical body. In the sea, there seemed to be an ancient giant beast rioting. In front of Lu Ming's fist, the sea suddenly exploded. The powerful fist force punched a 100-mile-long passage in the sea. What a powerful force. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Lu Ming felt that the pure physical strength of this punch was enough to kill an 8th level, or even 9th level spirit god expert. This was only 10% of the pure spirit body. If it was cultivated to 100%, its power would be unimaginably terrifying. At that time, he could easily kill a supreme being with a single punch. Of course, the higher one's maturity, the harder it would be to cultivate. Boom. Not far away from Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing also struck out with his palms, stirring up the seawater and forming a 1,000-meter-tall wave. As expected of a pure spirit body, a smile hung on Lu Ming's face. With a strong physical body, Lu Ming's battle prowess would naturally be stronger as well. A pure spirit body is not a true spirit body. It's not as miraculous as a true spirit body, but its power is already very shocking. No wonder the Emperor is so powerful. Lu Ming sighed. After washing up, the two returned to Thunder Rhino Supreme's back. Thunder Rhino Supreme continued to travel, while Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing continued to cultivate. Xian Yinqing entered the mountain river diagram and focused on cultivating the pure spirit body. As for Lu Ming, he cultivated the pure spirit body for a period of time every day. He would also take time to cultivate the 5 types of martial skills. As time passed, Lu Ming was slowly improving in all aspects. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. With Thunder Rhino Supreme's speed, it would take at least 4 months to fly from the Divine Ruins continent to the Divine Wilderness continent. Now only 20 days had passed, and there was still a long way to go. Dandan and Bubbles would occasionally rush into the depths of the sea to search for treasures. During this period of time, their mouths were not idle at all. They had swallowed countless spiritual herbs, and their entire bodies were filled with a rich medicinal fragrance. In half a month, Lu Ming's pure spirit body had already reached 30%. Relying on his physical body alone, even a perfected spirit god expert would be injured with a punch. At this time, Lu Ming temporarily stopped cultivating. My current cultivation is at the perfected spirit god level, and my foundation is stable. I can try to break through to the supremacy level. However, to break through to the supremacy level, I need to comprehend the embryonic form of a domain. To comprehend the embryonic form of a domain, I need to spread out the concept runes and merge them with the spirit god. I don't have the slightest clue yet. Let's see if the domain condensing pill can help me. Lu Ming's heart stirred, and a jade bottle appeared in his hand. It was the domain condensing pill that he had obtained when participating in the Yuanlu's disciple selection. If a perfected spirit god took the domain condensing pill, It would greatly increase the chances of cultivating the embryonic form of a domain and stepping into the supremacy level. Without hesitation, Lu Ming swallowed the domain condensing pill and began to refine it. 2 days later, Lu Ming opened his eyes, revealing a trace of disappointment. It's useless, it's useless. Lu Ming frowned. After refining a domain condensing pill, he found that it had no effect at all. Originally, the domain condensing pill could help Lu Ming open the concept rune and merge it with the spirit god to form the embryonic form of a domain. But previously, Lu Ming had refined the entire domain condensing pill, but the concept rune did not move at all. Legend has it that the stronger the concept, the more difficult it is to cultivate the embryonic form of a domain. Now it seems that it's true. Lu Ming sighed. He knew that it was because the chaotic concept was too strong. A single domain condensing pill did not have much effect. If Lu Ming wanted to cultivate the embryonic form of a chaotic domain, it would be dozens or even hundreds of times more difficult than other concepts. Let's take it slow. Lu Ming shook his head and temporarily gave up the idea of breaking through to the supremacy level. He focused on cultivating the pure spirit body and the concept martial skills. Time passed day by day. 2 months had passed since Lu Ming went out to sea. After 2 months of hard work, the 5 concept martial skills had all reached the peak of the 4th level. Of course, the higher the level, the more difficult it would be to break through. The pure spirit body had been cultivated to 40% and was close to 50%. Lu Ming's strength was also constantly improving. Xian Yanqing's pure spirit body was about the same as Lu Ming's and was close to 50%. It was worth mentioning that Xian Yanqing's cultivation was also increasing due to the continuous breakthroughs of her pure spirit body. She had stepped into the great circle of the spirit god realm. Her cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th level of the spirit god realm, because she had been in the primal chaos palace for more than 3 years. Now that she had cultivated the pure spirit body, it was completely natural for her to step into the great circle of the spirit god realm. On this day, Lu Ming was cultivating when he suddenly sensed movement outside. His figure flashed and Lu Ming came out of the mountain river diagram. Nestle, didn't you just steal a few spiritual herbs? How dare you chase after me? You'll remember this. Dandan screamed and shouted. Together with Bubbles, they dashed out of the sea and flew toward Lu Ming. Splash. The seawater surged and the seawater within 1,000 miles was stirred up and kept rolling. Then, a big furry hand reached out from the sea and grabbed at Dandan and Bubbles. The big furry hand was 1,000 miles long. It was covered with long blue hair and emitted an incomparably terrifying aura. Emperor, this was the aura of an emperor. How dare you steal herbs in my territory? Die. A furious roar came from the bottom of the sea. The giant hand sped up and grabbed at Dandan and Bubbles. Chirp chirp. Bubbles spat out a transparent bubble and opened a void passage. It rushed into the void passage with Dandan and appeared on the back of Thunder Rhino Prime in an instant. Chapter 13:11. The Sovereign of the Monster Clan. Thunder Rhino Supreme trembled in fear. First level Sovereign, just nice to test the power of the pure spirit body. Lu Ming revealed a trace of fighting spirit. He soared into the sky and dashed toward the 1,000-mile-long giant hand. An ant dares to resist. You're courting death. At the bottom of the sea, a furious roar sounded again, and the giant hand grabbed at Lu Ming. Who's the ant? Lu Ming shouted coldly, and the 9 dragon forces in his body burst out. The pure spirit body circulated, filling Lu Ming with infinite power. Boom. Lu Ming punched out and performed the hell-suppressing heaven skill. The fist collided with the 1,000-mile giant hand. With a world-shaking boom, the 1,000-mile-long giant hand emitted boundless blue light. And then it suddenly exploded in the air, disintegrating into pieces. Deep in the sea, there was an incredible roar. The sea water surged, and a blue figure rushed out of the sea. It was an ape, more than 3 meters tall, covered with blue hair, and emitting a terrifying murderous aura. It stared at Lu Ming fiercely and was in disbelief. It seemed that it couldn't believe that Lu Ming could defeat the giant hand with a punch. How is it possible that you're just a perfect spirit god? After the ape scanned Lu Ming's cultivation, it was even more incredulous. A divine ape of sea. Interesting. It's a good choice to take it as a fighter. Lu Ming sized up the ape and revealed an interested expression. The divine ape of sea was a kind of divine beast. Nonetheless, it seemed that the sea-subduing divine ape was not a pure-blooded one before it broke through to become a ruler. Instead, it transformed into a sea-subduing divine ape after becoming a ruler. There was still a huge difference between it and a pure-blooded divine beast. What did you say? You want to take me as a fighter? You're just an ant. You're courting death. Upon hearing Lu Ming's words, the sea divine ape flew into a rage. It took a step forward, and the endless seawater in the sea seemed to obey the command of the sea divine ape. The endless seawater transformed into a giant rod that was thousands of miles long. The sea divine ape held the rod in its hands and smashed it toward Lu Ming. If you don't accept it, then I'll beat you until you do. Lu Ming smiled faintly as his third bloodline appeared. Lu Ming borrowed a wisp of the third bloodline's power to increase his strength. As for bloodline fusion and the concept of primal chaos, Lu Ming didn't plan to use them yet. Boom! Lu Ming unleashed the hell-suppressing heaven art and punched out. Dong! Heaven and earth shook, and the seawater roiled, creating thousands of waves. The giant rod that was condensed from seawater was blasted apart by Lu Ming's punch. Whoosh! Lu Ming executed the wind essence art. His figure was like a phantom as he pounced towards the sea-subduing divine ape with extreme speed. The sea-subduing divine ape's expression changed drastically as it let out an angry roar. Its entire body emitted a blue light as it charged towards Lu Ming. Boom! Boom! After a few consecutive moves, the sea-subduing divine ape let out a miserable cry as it was sent flying for thousands of miles. It spat out a mouthful of blood. This sea-subduing divine ape's combat strength wasn't even as strong as the purple golden-robed old man, let alone the emperor's spiritual weapon that the purple golden-robed old man controlled. On the other hand, Lu Ming had cultivated a pure spirit body, and his combat abilities were even stronger. He did not need to perform bloodline integration to deal with the sea-subduing divine ape, much less cast the chaos concept. He could easily suppress the sea-subduing divine ape. How is this possible? How can he be so strong? The sea-subduing divine ape's heart was filled with question marks as it was filled with disbelief. It really couldn't figure out how a mere perfected spiritual god martial artist could have such terrifying combat strength. Run! Without hesitation, the sea-subduing divine ape turned around and ran. It was about to rush into the sea. You can't run away. Lu Ming executed the wind essence art. His figure flashed as he approached the sea-subduing divine ape and punched out. This punch was the fusion of 5 concepts into one. The terrifying power made the sea-subduing divine ape feel cold all over. It felt that it couldn't escape. It roared and tried its best to resist. Unfortunately, it couldn't resist Lu Ming's punch at all. It was sent flying thousands of miles away, and its body almost exploded. It spat out large mouthfuls of blood, and its aura was weak. It was seriously injured in one move. Submit to me or die. Lu Ming stepped out and crossed thousands of miles to arrive in front of the sea-subduing divine ape. He looked at it coldly. In particular, Lu Ming borrowed the power of the third bloodline. The cold and merciless killing intent made the sea-subduing divine ape feel cold all over. I surrender. I surrender. In the end, the sea-subduing divine ape lowered its head helplessly. I have to engrave a restriction on your body. Otherwise, I won't be at ease. Dandan, it's your turn. Lu Ming said. Okay. Dandan flew towards the sea-subduing divine ape. The sea-subduing divine ape was helpless. Now that its life was in the hands of Lu Ming, it could only allow Dandan to engrave a restriction on it. Lu Ming, this sea-subduing divine ape's mansion is deep in the sea. There are many treasures there. Dandan's eyes lit up. Chirp chirp. Bubble also waved its little paws excitedly. There was a big bubble, and a small bubble at the tip of its nose. Dandan has led Bubble astray. Lu Ming was speechless. Plop. Plop. Dandan and Bubble rushed into the sea impatiently. The sea-subduing divine ape was helpless. Now that it had submitted to Lu Ming, its mansion and treasures would definitely be lost. Lead the way. I'll go take a look too. Lu Ming instructed the sea-subduing divine ape. Yes. The sea-subduing divine ape bowed and replied. Then Lu Ming and the sea-subduing divine ape entered the sea together. Deep in the sea, there was a divine mountain with countless spiritual herbs growing on it. This was the mansion of the sea-subduing divine ape. There were also some powerful sea beasts on the divine mountain, but they were all killed by Dandan and Bubble. The two of them were desperately picking spiritual herbs and stuffing them into their mouths. Haha, this is 100,000-year-old wine. Suddenly, Dandan's laughter was heard. Lu Ming and the sea-subduing divine ape stepped into the divine mountain. At the top of the divine mountain, they saw a small pool. The pool was filled with blue crystal clear liquid. The liquid exuded an extremely rich aura of life. At this moment, Dandan and Bubble were rolling in the pool and gulping down the liquid. Hiss, at the side, the sea-subduing divine ape was heartbroken when it saw this scene. Its liver, lungs, and body were in pain. Even it couldn't bear to use this pool of liquid. But now Dandan and Bubble were gulping it down. Every mouthful was like biting its flesh. If Lu Ming wasn't here, it would have gone crazy. How unlucky. The sea-subduing divine ape wailed in its heart, lamenting its bad luck to meet Lu Ming. It would lose its freedom in the future, and the wealth that it had accumulated for a lifetime would all be wasted by Dandan and Bubble. You two, leave some for me. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He took out a big jade bottle, activated his true yuan, and absorbed the liquid into the jade bottle. After filling the bottle to the brim, Lu Ming stopped. It wasn't that Lu Ming was satisfied, but that the liquid in the pool was gone. All of it had gone into Dandan and Bubble's stomach. What a waste. Lu Ming's heart ached. Chapter 13:12. But now most of it had been swallowed up by Dandan and Bubble. Hee. The two fellows had round bellies and even burped a few times. Especially Bubble. Its eyes were blurry and its entire body was glowing as if it was drunk. Sure enough, Bubble climbed onto Lu Ming's shoulder and lay on Lu Ming's shoulder, snoring loudly. The milky white light on its body grew denser and denser. Lu Ming, I also want to sleep and digest the energy in my body. Dandan's eyes were also blurry as it climbed onto Lu Ming's other shoulder. Lu Ming, wait for me. When I wake up again, I'll definitely step into the monarch realm. Dandan continued to mutter, its voice growing softer and softer. These two fellows had consumed too many spiritual herbs during this period of time. Coupled with the pool of nectar, it was finally time for them to evolve. As it muttered, Dandan also fell asleep on Lu Ming's shoulder. Lu Ming put Dandan and Bubble into the mountain and river diagram, then asked the divine ape to lead the way and harvest the remaining spiritual herbs nearby. Since the divine ape was going to leave with him, it would be a waste to leave these spiritual herbs here. They flew out of the sea. Little ape, take me with you. This map is for you. Take me to the divine wilderness continent. Lu Ming said to the divine ape. The divine ape almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Little ape? Is this the name you gave me? But under the power of others, the divine ape had no choice but to accept this name. Lu Ming asked Thunder Rhino Supreme to return to the mountain and river diagram to rest while the divine ape carried Lu Ming on the way. The divine ape was an emperor, and its speed was several times faster than Thunder Rhino Supreme. It would have taken more than 2 months to travel, but the divine ape only used half a month to cross it. In front of them, a huge continent was in sight. They had arrived at the divine wilderness continent. After half a month of cultivation, Lu Ming's pure spirit body had finally reached 50%. At this point, Lu Ming let the sea-subduing divine ape enter the mountain and river diagram, and used the Thunder Rhino Supreme instead. The sea-subduing divine ape was, after all, an emperor. Riding it into the divine wilderness continent was too ostentatious, and would cause a commotion. Honorable Thunder Rhino was still a bit better. Rumble. Autarch Thunder Rhino stepped into the void, carrying Lu Ming towards the divine wilderness continent. I'm finally back. Xian Yanqing stood beside Lu Ming and whispered. There was a complicated look in his eyes. Now that she was back, it was time to settle the grudge between her and the ancient Saint Dynasty's Xie family. Supreme Thunder Rhino stepped into the void and flew into the divine wilderness continent. Endless mountains and rivers flashed beneath his feet. This was the northern plains of the divine wilderness continent. Lu Ming guided the Thunder Rhino Prime towards the 100 Beast tribe. Xiao Wan and the others should be guarding the 100 Beast tribe. Before long, They were close to the 100 Beast tribe. Something's not right. Lu Ming frowned. Along the way, he found that something was wrong. The atmosphere was not right. Many large places and cities were heavily guarded and heavily guarded. There was a feeling that a storm was about to come. Who's there? Stop. Oh no, it's a Supreme Being expert. Suddenly, a few loud roars were heard. A group of armored soldiers rushed out from a mountain in front of them and blocked in front of Lu Ming and the others. When they sensed the aura of Supreme Thunder Rhino, their faces changed drastically. Quickly spread the news that an unknown Supreme Being is attacking. One of the armored soldiers shouted. No, that's Marshal Lu. Marshal Lu Ming. At this moment someone exclaimed. What? The other soldiers also looked at the back of Supreme Thunder Rhino. Just now, they were shocked by the aura of Supreme Thunder Rhino, and did not pay attention to the back of Supreme Thunder Rhino. Now that they saw it, they were all stunned. It's really Marshal Lu. How is that possible? Didn't the experts of the continent of Divine Ruins spread the news that Marshal Lu died in the battle? Yeah, why is he still alive? But I've seen Marshal Lu before. It can't be wrong. I've seen him too. This is Marshal Lu. Hundreds of armored soldiers were in an uproar as they looked at Lu Ming in bewilderment. I died in the continent of Divine Ruins? What's going on? Lu Ming frowned and felt that something was wrong. Whoosh! Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared in front of the armored soldiers. The hundreds of armored soldiers were shocked and couldn't help but retreat. I'm Lu Ming. What are you afraid of? What's going on? Lu Ming said. Are you really Marshal Lu? Some of the armored soldiers were still bewildered. Nonsense. Quickly spread the news and asked the Chaotic Sky Emperor to come. Lu Ming said. These were just ordinary soldiers and didn't know much. They wouldn't be able to explain it clearly. It was better to ask Xielwan directly. Okay, we'll spread the news right away. An armored soldier who looked like a leader quickly took out a voice transmission jade talisman and sent out the news. Less than 10 breaths later, hiss. The space fluctuated and cracks appeared. One by one, figures walked out of the cracks. Each of them exuded a powerful aura. Xielwan. Lu Ming saw at a glance that the leader was Xielwan. In addition, Lu Ming also saw the Emperor Mo Yi from the Myriad Demons Abyss, the Emperor Chu Luo from the Demon God Valley, the Emperor Barbarian Emperor from the 100 Beast tribe, and the Emperor Yueshin Martial Emperor from the Floating Mountain. Why is Moon Heart Martial Emperor here? A trace of doubt flashed in Lu Ming's heart. Brother Yan. Lu Ming also saw Yan Kuangtu and some other Supreme Being experts. As soon as everyone appeared, their eyes fell on Lu Ming. Lu Ming, it's really Lu Ming. Lu Ming is not dead. Voices came out from the mouths of the crowd, full of surprise and astonishment. Lu Ming, I knew you would be fine. Seeing Lu Ming, Yan Kuangtu was pleasantly surprised and rushed toward Lu Ming. Moo. Lei Shi Supreme roared, his body covered in thunder and lightning, staring at Yan Kuangtu cautiously. Yan Kuangtu could not help but stop. Lei Shi, they're on our side, back off. Lu Ming ordered Lei Shi Supreme. Lei Shi Supreme immediately became obedient, withdrew his aura and turned into a burly man, standing behind Lu Ming. Supreme Being. This is a Supreme Being. Chu Luo, Barbarian Emperor, and the others glanced at Lei Shi Supreme in surprise. A Supreme Being seemed to be very obedient in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming actually had the ability to subdue a Supreme Being and make a Supreme Being so obedient, which was rare. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, I knew you would be fine. Yan Kuangtu burst out laughing as he came to Lu Ming's side and patted Lu Ming's shoulder. He then picked up the wine gourd and took a big gulp. Brother Yan, how are you? Lu Ming smiled. Yan Kuangtu's concern could not be concealed, as it was his true feelings, causing Lu Ming's heart to feel warm. Lu Ming. At that instant, Xielwan, Chu Luo, and the others stepped forward and greeted Lu Ming. Lu Ming greets the seniors. Chapter 13:13. Lu Ming, the Floating Mountain sect has moved to the 100 Beast tribe. Xian Martial Emperor was beautiful, but she let out a sigh filled with loneliness. What happened? Also, why did they say that I died in the Godly Ruins continent? Lu Ming asked, full of doubts. Lu Ming, it's a long story. Let's return to the 100 Beast tribe, and I'll tell you in detail. Xiao Wan said. All right. Lu Ming nodded, and the group headed toward the 100-Beast tribe. After arriving at the 100-Beast tribe, Lu Ming felt that the atmosphere was not right. The 100-Beast tribe was filled with various formations. Every corner was guarded by experts and many armored soldiers patrolling the area. The atmosphere was tense, as if a great battle was about to break out. When Lu Ming left the Divine Wilderness Continent, although the Divine Wilderness Continent was also embroiled in a war and Northern Plains had just experienced a war, the atmosphere back then was not as solemn as it was now. It felt like a great battle of life and death was about to break out at any moment. Lu Ming was even more curious, but he could only suppress his doubts and ask them later. The news of Lu Ming's return spread rapidly in the 100-Beast tribe, causing an uproar. Lu Ming and the others arrived at a meeting hall in the 100-Beast tribe. Everyone sat on two sides of the hall. There were 2 seats at the front, and Xiao Wan sat on one of them. Lu Ming, please. Xiao Wan raised his hand and signaled Lu Ming to take a seat. Lu Ming did not stand on ceremony and sat down beside Xiao Wan. However, he did not notice the displeasure in the eyes of Chu Luo, Mo Yi, and the other martial emperors. After everyone sat down, more people entered the hall. They were all higher-ups, and the weakest among them was a martial highness realm expert. Soon there were more than 10 people in the hall. Senior Xie, why did the armored soldiers say that I died in the Godly Ruins continent when I returned? Lu Ming could not help but ask. Lu Ming, not long ago, the sea-crossing flying ship that brought you to the Godly Ruins mainland returned. The experts of the divine sect in the Godly Ruins mainland said that you, Lu Ming, offended the sky pride of the heavenly god sect in the Godly Ruins mainland. You were killed by the sky pride of the heavenly god sect. Xiao Wan said. Lu Ming frowned. The experts from the Holy Gate were obviously the experts from the Southern God Palace who had sent Long Chen and the Underworld Child back. But why would the people from the Southern God Palace say that? They said he was killed. Could it be that the people from Southern God Palace were experts from the Mu clan? Lu Ming's heart stirred. When Long Chen, Underworld Child, and Scrupulous Monk, and the others left for the Divine Desolate Continent, it was probably when Lu Ming's group was being chased by the Mu family's patriarch. Therefore, the people from the Southern Divine Palace believed that Lu Ming was dead for sure. When they arrived at the Divine Desolate Continent, they said that Lu Ming had already been killed. Lu Ming guessed. What about Long Chen, Underworld Child, and the Western Desert Holy Monk? No one came out to say anything? Lu Ming asked. No. Moreover, only 3 of them came back. They are Underworld Child and the 2 holy monks from the Western Desert. Long Chen is nowhere to be seen. When the 3 of them came back, they spread the news that they were in seclusion, and did not say a word to the outside world. Xiao Wan said. Long Chen did not come back. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. Could it be that Long Chen was also assassinated like them? Moreover, from the looks of it, Underworld Child and the others must have been warned by the Southern Divine Palace, and did not say a word. Therefore, the news that Lu Ming had been recruited as a disciple by the Divine Dragon Valley of the Yuanlu continent was naturally kept a secret. Lu Ming, did you really offend the sky pride of the heavenly divinity sect of the Yuanlu continent? At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded. Lu Ming looked in the direction of the voice. It was Chu Luo. He was currently staring at Lu Ming. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows slightly. In the past, Chu Luo had always addressed him as General Lu. However, he was now directly addressing Lu Ming by his name. Moreover, there was a hint of questioning in his tone. Everyone's gaze also fell upon Lu Ming. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. With his intelligence, he naturally knew what was going on. In the past, they had taken a fancy to Lu Ming's talent, and thought that Lu Ming could join the Yuanlu continent's great sects and help them in the future. However, the people from the Southern Divine Palace had come and said that Lu Ming had offended the sky pride of the Yuanlu continent's great sects, and had been killed by them. Although Lu Ming was still alive, he could not join the Yuanlu continent's great sects, since he had offended the sky pride of the Yuanlu continent's great sects. Since he could not join the Yuanlu continent's great sects, and had offended the sky pride of the Yuanlu continent's great sects, their attitude towards Lu Ming naturally changed. That's right. I have offended the sky pride of the Divine Dragon sect. Lu Ming answered truthfully. Lu Ming, it's not that I want to criticize you. Although you have some talent, you should know your limits and know your limits. Your talent is not bad in the Divine Wilderness continent, but it's nothing in the Yuanlu continent. How dare you offend the sky pride of the Yuanlu continent's great sects? It's fine if you offend them, but don't drag us down with you. Chu Luo spoke coldly. Lu Ming, I want to know if the people of the Yuanlu continent's great sects know about your return? Mo Yi spoke as well. Chu Luo, Mo Yi, that's enough. Lu Ming is my ally. At the side, Xiao Wan frowned and berated them. Demon ancestor, but Chu Luo still wanted to say something. I said that's enough. Xiao Wan's gaze turned cold. Chu Luo shut his mouth and did not dare to say anything else. However, his gaze towards Lu Ming was filled with faint disdain. After failing to join the Yuanlu continent's great sects, Lu Ming was just a junior, a martial artist at the spiritual god realm. He looked down on Lu Ming from the bottom of his heart. Lu Ming smiled slightly and did not explain. He had defeated the sky pride of the celestial divinity sect and obtained first place in the test. He had even joined another Yuanlu continent's great sects, the Divine Dragon Valley. Senior Xie, what's the current situation in the Divine Wilderness continent? Why do I feel that the 100 Beast tribe is heavily guarded? Moreover, all the seniors are gathered there? Lu Ming asked another question in his heart. In the past, many experts were guarding different places in the northern plains. However, they seem to be gathered at the 100 Beast tribe now. Lu Ming, the current situation in the Divine Wilderness continent has changed greatly. Xiao Wan frowned and said when that was mentioned. The situation has changed greatly? Because of what? Lu Ming asked. Because of DE. Xiao Wan said. D. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. DE was so powerful that he could change the situation in the Divine Wilderness continent? Yes, because of DE. When you left, the Heavenly King token was also taken away by the experts of the Divine Sect. However, the Ancient Saint Dynasty and the Divine Army have a deep grudge against each other. It's difficult for them to stop fighting. The other overlords are also fighting with each other. The Central Continent is still in chaos, but the situation is still good. However, a few months ago, DE suddenly attacked. Xiao Wan explained in detail what had happened during this period of time, especially about Martial Emperor DE. It turned out that everyone had been deceived by Martial Emperor DE for so many years. Not only was Martial Emperor DE powerful, but he was also secretly developing his forces. Chapter 13-14. The sovereigns of the southern underworld had been subdued by Martial Emperor DE at some point in time. The entire southern underworld was under Martial Emperor DE's control. The Eastern Wasteland Heavenly Corpse sect was also created by one of the sovereigns of the southern underworld. The reason why they kept fighting with the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace was to attract attention, so that the other overlords would not care too much about the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. This way, DE could keep increasing his strength in secret. When the time was right, he could start the war. A few months ago, Martial Emperor DE finally could not hold back anymore. He led the Southern Underworld's army to attack the Central Continent. In a short period of time, many overlord forces were destroyed by Martial Emperor DE. Martial Emperor DE's strength increased greatly. He even sent out experts to help the Ancient Saint Dynasty's Xie clan deal with the Heaven Suppression Army. After a shocking battle, the Heaven Suppression Army suffered great losses and retreated to the border of the northern plains. They joined forces with Xiao Wan to deal with the strong enemy. Therefore, during this period of time, the atmosphere was unprecedentedly tense. All the experts of the northern plains gathered at the 100 Beast tribe to deal with the attack of the strong enemy at any time. After hearing this, Lu Ming was shocked. At the same time, he understood some things. He understood why the Eastern Wasteland Heavenly Corpse sect could rise in such a short period of time and compete with the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. It was all under Martial Emperor DE's arrangement. Of course, their strength increased quickly. When they were fighting for the Heavenly King's token, the Eastern Wasteland and the Southern Underworld did not make any moves. At that time, Lu Ming and the others found it strange. Now it made sense. The Eastern Wasteland and the Southern Underworld were basically under Martial Emperor DE's control. At that time, the time was not right. If Martial Emperor De did not give the order, the Eastern Wasteland and the Southern Underworld would not make a move. Even if De and the experts of the Southern Underworld joined forces, they should not be that strong. If the many overlord forces of the Central Continent joined forces, they would have many sovereigns. How could they be defeated by De? Although De is strong, the Heaven Suppression Army has a deep foundation. There might be experts who could contend with him. How could he be defeated so easily? Lu Ming asked the question in his heart. Although De's combat ability was strong, even if Nanming was included, there wouldn't be too many sovereigns. There wouldn't be more than 7. Some of the more powerful overlord forces in the Central Continent would have 2 sovereigns, or even more. If several overlord forces joined forces, they wouldn't be destroyed so easily. It's because De's helpers have arrived. De's cultivation is at the peak of the LV2 Martial Royal Realm, and he has a royal spiritual weapon. Most importantly, 2 terrifying experts have appeared beside De. They are both at the peak of the LV2 Martial Royal Realm, and they also have royal spiritual weapons. Xiao Wan said with a grave expression. What? Lu Ming was shocked. There were 2 experts at the peak of the second-level Martial Emperor realm beside De. The peak of LV2 Martial Royal Realm was definitely the pinnacle of existence in the Divine Wilderness continent. Before Lu Ming went to the Divine Ruins continent, there were only Xiao Wan and De who were at the peak of LV2 Martial Royal Realm. But now, how could there be 2 experts at the peak of the second LV of the Martial Royal Realm beside De? What was even more shocking was that the 2 of them were even in control of Emperor-level spirit weapons. Emperor-level spirit weapons were very rare, and it was difficult for most emperors to own one. At the same time, Lu Ming also understood the current situation in the Divine Wilderness continent. Although there were not many emperors around De, their high-level battle strength was too strong. De himself and the 2 experts at the peak of LV2 Martial Royal Realm could absolutely sweep away the overlords of the Divine Wilderness continent. No one could defeat them. No wonder the atmosphere in the northern plains was so solemn and tense. In the northern plains, only Xiao Wan was at the peak of LV2 Martial Royal Realm. Now De's army is attacking the few overlord forces in the Central Continent. In recent days, I heard that they are besieging the World Academy. The World Academy is in danger. Xiao Wan said. The World Academy. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly brightened, emitting a strong fighting desire. Lu Ming, what do you think? Xiao Wan asked. Rescue the World Academy. Lu Ming said decisively. Haha, rescue? Lu Ming, how can we rescue them? Now that De is powerful and has many experts, we can't even protect ourselves. How can we rescue them? Chu Luo sneered, his tone full of disdain. The rest of the people shook their heads slightly, obviously agreeing with Chu Luo. Below, Yin Kuangtu wanted to say something several times but stopped. He seemed to have something to say to Lu Ming, but in the end he held back. Without the lips, the teeth will feel cold. I'm sure everyone understands that World Academy is not weak. If it is attacked by De, it will only increase De's strength. If it is saved by us and joins hands with us, it will increase our strength. Only then will we be able to contend against De. Lu Ming said. Although it's the truth, truth is truth. In fact, our strength is not enough. Only by defending with all our strength can we have a chance of survival. If we rescue them and lead De to attack in advance, Lu Ming, will you take responsibility? Chu Luo sneered. I'll take responsibility. I'll take responsibility. Lu Ming said. Haha, you'll take responsibility? Ridiculous. Lu Ming, to put it bluntly, what qualifications do you have to take responsibility? Although you have allied with the demon ancestor, in this world, strength is everything. If you don't have strength, you'd better behave. Chu Luo laughed heartily. This sentence was clearly belittling Lu Ming. Xiao Wan frowned, thinking that Chu Luo had gone too far. However, he did not agree to rescue the World Academy now, so he pondered for a moment and did not speak. Lu Ming, I can tell you clearly that if you want to rescue the World Academy, you have to do it yourself. We won't do anything, in case De attacks in advance. Chu Luo said. I'll go with Lu Ming. Yin Kuangtu stepped out. I'll go with Lu Ming too. I'll go too. Then two voices sounded in succession. They were the barbarian emperor of the 100-beast tribe, and you Exian martial emperor of the floating mountain. No, you're not allowed to go either. You're in the same boat as us now. If you go, you'll weaken our strength and it'll also lead to Diyi's attack in advance. Chu Luo said loudly. You, Yen Kuangtu, the barbarian emperor, and the others looked pale. You don't have to go. I alone am enough to rescue the World Academy. Lu Ming's voice sounded abruptly. Everyone was stunned. Lu Ming alone? Rescue the World Academy? How was that possible? Ha ha ha, Lu Ming. It seems that your judgment has changed after you went to the continent of God's ruins. You're becoming more and more ignorant. It's no wonder that you even dared to offend the elites of Yuanlu's major sects. Chu Luo sneered. Chu Luo felt uncomfortable when he thought of how he had obeyed Lu Ming's orders in the past. At that time, he thought that Lu Ming could join Yuanlu's sect, and he saw the future of Lu Ming. That was why he obeyed Xiaowan and obeyed Lu Ming. He was an emperor, but he obeyed a young man in his 20s. He had always felt uncomfortable. Chapter 13:15. Haha. At this moment, Lu Ming sneered. Since he returned, Chu Luo had been mocking and ridiculing him nonstop, which had already made Lu Ming a little unhappy. Lu Ming looked coldly at Chu Luo and said, "Which eye of yours saw me overestimating myself? Also, do you think you're great just because you're an emperor? In my eyes, you're not worth mentioning." What did you say? Chu Luo was furious and suddenly stood up from his seat. The might of an emperor erupted from his body, and a terrifying pressure pressed down on Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming was as calm as a breeze, sitting there motionlessly. Chu Luo, sit down. Xiaowan berated. Demon ancestor, you've seen it too. This person is arrogant and doesn't even take an emperor seriously. I used to think that he was a top figure, but now it seems that I was completely wrong about him. Chu Luo said. I'm not looking down on an emperor, I'm looking down on you. Lu Ming sneered. You're looking down on me? Good. I'd like to see how much you've improved after your trip to the continent of divine ruins. How dare you speak so arrogantly? Today, I'll teach you a good lesson on behalf of the demon ancestor. Chu Luo was furious. He stepped out of his seat and pressed towards Lu Ming. The aura on his body grew stronger and stronger. Some of the Supremes on the side had a drastic change in expression, and felt that it was difficult to breathe. If you want to fight, then let's fight outside. Lu Ming stood up and took a step out. In a flash, he left the hall and arrived in the sky outside the hall. Many people were stunned. What did Lu Ming say? He wanted to fight Chu Luo? Did he really dare to fight Chu Luo? Many people thought that they had heard wrongly. Although Lu Ming had restrained his aura, they could still sense that Lu Ming was only at the spirit god realm. A young man at the spirit god realm actually wanted to fight an emperor? Lu Ming was either crazy or extremely arrogant. Ha, you've seen it too. This kid is arrogant and ignorant. I'll teach him a lesson. Chu Luo laughed angrily, his eyes filled with anger. Lu Ming actually dared to challenge him. A spiritual deity challenging an emperor was a great insult to him. He had to teach Lu Ming a lesson. He didn't even consider that all of this was the result of him constantly provoking Lu Ming. With a flicker, Chu Luo left the hall and arrived in the air. Let's go out and take a look. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The experts in the main hall rushed out of the main hall and stood in the void. Lu Ming. Yen Kuangtu revealed a worried look and also rushed out of the main hall. Lu Ming. A strange look flashed across Xiaowan's eyes. Based on his understanding of Lu Ming was not an arrogant person. On the contrary, Lu Ming never fought someone he was not confident about. Could Lu Ming really create a miracle and contend against a ruler? Xiaowan's eyes were filled with anticipation as he walked out of the hall. Look, who's that? That's the Chu Luo Demon Emperor, and the other person is Lu Ming, General Lu. What's going on? It looks like the Chu Luo Demon Emperor is going to fight with General Lu. No way, the Chu Luo Demon Emperor is a ruler. How could General Lu be a match for him? With so many experts gathered in the sky, their auras were mighty and the commotion was huge. Many people in the 100-beast tribe sensed the commotion and looked over. Some of them were in disbelief. High up in the sky. Lu Ming, I admit that although you are talented, You are too arrogant and condescending. Today, I will teach you a lesson to wake you up and let you know who you are. Chu Luo's voice was heard as he took a step forward. With every step he took, heaven and earth seemed to resonate with him and trembled. The powerful aura of a martial emperor burst out and spread between heaven and earth, causing many people to tremble and break out in cold sweat. Some of the weaker cultivators knelt down as if they were facing the heavenly Tao and could not resist. However, Lu Ming stood quietly in the void. His body did not move and he did not even lift his eyelids. This world is much bigger than you think. The divine region is just a small part of it. In the entire Yuan realm, a rank 1 martial emperor is just a low-level existence. As a rank 1 martial emperor, you act high and mighty. Your achievements will stop here. A calm and indifferent voice came from Lu Ming's mouth. Shut up, my achievements will not be judged by you. Lu Ming's words infuriated Chu Luo. With a shout, Chu Luo was the first to move. He took a step forward and clenched his claws in the air. A pitch-black claw condensed from demonic aura grabbed at Lu Ming. Even a prime would be seriously injured by this claw. However, Lu Ming did not move in the face of this claw. It was as if he did not see it and allowed the giant claw to grab him. Why isn't Lu Ming fighting back? Could it be that he is frightened or imprisoned? The power of an emperor is too terrifying. It can imprison heaven and earth. Lu Ming probably wants to fight back, but he can't move his body. Seeing this scene, many people guessed. Lu Ming dodged. Yan Kuangtu became anxious. However, Lu Ming still did not move. A mere spiritual god ant dares to preach to me. I will teach him a lesson. As long as I don't kill him and break a few of his bones, I think the demon ancestor will not blame me. Chu Luo sneered, and the demonic chi became stronger. In an instant, the giant claw was about to grab Lu Ming's head. At this moment, Lu Ming finally moved. Lu Ming's movement was very simple. He threw a simple punch. Boom. The space exploded like tofu. The claw that Chu Luo condensed also exploded under Lu Ming's punch, disappearing into nothingness. Everyone's pupils suddenly widened in shock. Lu Ming's seemingly casual punch defeated the claw condensed from Chu Luo's demonic chi. Although Chu Luo didn't use his true ability at all, it could still injure a supreme being. However, it was defeated so easily by Lu Ming. How was this possible? Lu Ming's combat strength had already reached such a level? It was too shocking. What a powerful punch. Its power is boundless, especially the power of his physical body. It's extremely shocking. Why do I feel like it's a spiritual body erupting? The barbaric emperor spoke with deep surprise in his eyes. I have the same feeling too. The other emperors also spoke. Lu Ming. Xiao Wan's eyes also lit up. Yan Kuangtu's eyes were even brighter. You have some ability. Take another move of mine. Chu Luo roared. He felt humiliated after being blocked by Lu Ming, and the anger in his heart burned even more. Buzz. The demonic domain spread out from his body and enveloped Lu Ming. At the same time, the muscles all over his body swelled, and he suddenly threw a punch. This punch contained the power of the domain and the power of his spiritual body. Its power was 10 times stronger than the previous move. Chu Luo had already used his true strength and displayed the power of an emperor. Roar. Roar. Chapter 13:16. Swoosh. Lu Ming performed the wind origin skill. With a tremble of his body, he rushed toward Chu Luo and threw out a punch. The two of them each threw out a punch, which collided in the air and bombarded each other. Boom. A deafening sound was heard. Then, under everyone's shocked and incredulous gazes, Chu Luo's domain was shattered by Lu Ming's punch. Crack. The sound of bones breaking resounded throughout the place. Chu Luo screamed. His entire arm was deformed. His body shook violently and was sent flying like a cannonball. Lu Ming, on the other hand, did not move at all. Oh my God. Everyone looked at this scene with their mouths agape. They were completely stunned and tongue-tied. Their eyes were full of disbelief. Chu Luo, a demon emperor, was sent flying by Lu Ming's punch and his hand bones were broken. How was this possible? This was simply like a fantasy story, something that was simply impossible to happen. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have believed that such a thing had happened. In fact, even if they saw it with their own eyes, Many people would not dare to believe it and thought that they were dreaming. Boom. Many powerhouses could not control the excitement in their hearts, and their bodies erupted with strong auras. Even Xiaowan was the same. Monster, he's really a monster. It seems that the people of the Divine Gate are not telling the truth. They must be hiding something. Xiaowan muttered to himself, revealing an extremely excited expression. Lu Ming. Yan Kuangtu also muttered softly, trembling with excitement. One punch had injured an emperor. What did this mean? It meant that Lu Ming's combat strength had at least reached the level of an emperor. With such little combat strength, you still act high and mighty. Who gave you the confidence? Lu Ming stepped in the void and rushed toward Chu Luo at an extremely fast speed, throwing out another punch. This punch contained Lu Ming's true origin, the power of the 9 dragon forces, the power of the 3rd bloodline, and of course, the power of a pure spirit body that had reached 50%. The terrifying power, coupled with the hell-suppressing heaven skill, was extremely powerful. Chu Luo roared wildly. A battle saber appeared in his hand, and he slashed out fiercely. This attack was the eruption of Chu Luo's strongest combat strength. Boom. The dazzling saber gleam collapsed under Lu Ming's iron fist. The terrifying fist force bombarded Chu Luo's combat saber, causing Chu Luo's body to tremble violently. He retreated violently and spurted blood from his mouth. 9 dragons stomping the heavens. Activating the wind origin art, Lu Ming appeared above Chu Luo's head. His hands rapidly formed hand seals, and 4 sealing gates appeared around Chu Luo. A powerful sealing force locked Chu Luo in the void. During this time, Lu Ming didn't give up on cultivating the 9 seals. Every day he would take some time to comprehend it. After several months of bitter cultivation, the 9 seals of the Divine Gate had taken another step forward. He could condense 4 sealing doors at once, and their power was even stronger. Then Lu Ming executed the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps, taking 8 consecutive steps. Boom, boom, boom. Chu Luo's body shook violently. With every step he took, he spat out blood. In the end, he smashed into the ground like a meteor. Sizzle, sizzle. Lu Ming waved his hand and activated the Thunder Origin art. A lightning whip condensed from lightning flashed out and wrapped around Chu Luo's body, pulling him in front of Lu Ming. At this moment, Chu Luo's face was pale. Half of his body had exploded, and blood kept flowing out of his mouth. Chu Luo was an emperor. If he were an ordinary martial artist, he wouldn't have survived. An emperor had a spiritual body, so he could recover with some time. At this moment, Chu Luo looked at Lu Ming with eyes full of fear and disbelief. There was a deathly silence at the scene. Chu Luo had lost. Chu Luo had been thoroughly defeated. Facing Lu Ming, Chu Luo was like a baby who couldn't withstand a single blow. Chu Luo was an emperor, and his cultivation had reached the late 1st level of the martial emperor realm. He wasn't weak among martial emperors, but he couldn't fight back against Lu Ming. Was he still human? Was Lu Ming still human? The cultivation level that Lu Ming displayed was only at the primordial god realm. Since when did a spiritual god realm cultivator have such combat strength that he could easily crush an emperor? No one had heard of such a thing since ancient times. Everyone just widened their eyes and stared blankly at this scene. They were completely speechless. Are you very strong? Lu Ming stared at Chu Luo and said indifferently. Chu Luo's body trembled when he heard those words. These 3 short words made him feel so ashamed that he couldn't show his face. Just now, he thought that he was an emperor and looked down on Lu Ming. When Lu Ming said that he wanted to rescue the World Academy alone, he said that Lu Ming was arrogant and ignorant. But now it was proven that he was both arrogant and ignorant. Chu Luo's body trembled slightly. After a short while, Chu Luo took a deep breath, lowered his head, and bowed deeply to Lu Ming. He said, Commander Lu's talent is unprecedented and has surpassed the great figures of ancient times. I was ignorant and had eyes but failed to see. Please forgive me, Commander Lu. Chu Luo's voice was sincere and came from the bottom of his heart. He was finally convinced, completely convinced. Such a genius had never been heard of since ancient times, at least not in the divine wilderness continent. It had exceeded his imagination, and he was finally convinced. Commander Lu's talent is unprecedented and dazzling. The other experts in the surroundings were deeply moved, and they bowed to Lu Ming as well. Commander Lu's talent is unprecedented and dazzling. Commander Lu's talent is unprecedented and dazzling. After that, even more people bowed to Lu Ming, and their voices grew louder and louder. In the end, it resounded throughout the entire 100-beast tribe. Through this battle, many people were truly convinced by Lu Ming and recognized that Lu Ming had formed an alliance with Xiao Wan and was the supreme commander. Previously, many people had called Lu Ming Commander Lu because of Xiao Wan. In fact, they looked down on Lu Ming in their hearts. However, after this battle, everyone truly placed Lu Ming in the same position as Xiao Wan, or even higher. He had such combat strength before breaking through to the Martial Emperor realm. If Lu Ming broke through to the Martial Emperor realm, how strong would his combat strength be? It was unimaginable. Lu Ming stood in the void, accepting the worship of the experts. His face was calm, like an invincible god of war. Go back and heal your injuries. Lu Ming waved his hand and put away the lightning whip. Chu Luo flew far away. Thank you for showing mercy, Commander Lu. Chu Luo bowed. Haha, Lu Ming, I haven't seen you in a while, and I have a whole new level of respect for you. Xiao Wan stepped forward and laughed. He then asked, Lu Ming, did the experts from the divine sect hide anything when they came to the divine wilderness continent? That's right. Lu Ming nodded. Now that he had established his prestige, there was no need for him to hide anything. This time, the divine sect is not the only sect that came to the divine ruins continent to recruit disciples. There are 3 other sects. Lu Ming said. There are 3 other sects from Yuanlu? Many people's hearts trembled. In their hearts, the Yuanlu sects were lofty and unreachable existences. This time, there were a total of 4 sections. Xiao Wan seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes lit up. Chapter 13:17. It's true that I have offended the Sky Pride of the Celestial Divine Sect, but that Sky Pride has been defeated by me. I have also joined another major sect in Yuanlu, the Divine Dragon Valley. Lu Ming said. Indeed. Xiao Wan's eyes shone brightly. General Lu has joined a major sect in Yuanlu. The hearts of many other experts trembled as their eyes shone brightly. General Lu's talent is unparalleled. Someone roared again, extremely agitated. This time, they were more sincere and respectful than before. Previously, it was because of Lu Ming's strength. This time, it was because of Lu Ming's identity. Lu Ming had joined a major sect in Yuanlu, and was now a disciple of the sect. His identity had become superior in the eyes of the crowd, even surpassing Xiao Wan. All right. Lu Ming gestured with one hand, and the crowd quieted down. We'll talk about the details later. Now we'll follow the original plan, and head to the World Academy to rescue the World Academy. Lu Ming said. No, General Lu. If you want to go, we'll go with you. It's too dangerous for you to go alone. The barbaric emperor said. Yeah, we'll go with you. Yin Kuangtu said. No need. You guys stay here. I know what I'm doing. I won't put myself in danger. After Lu Ming finished speaking, he did not say anything else. He drew a line in the air with both hands and the air cracked open. Lu Ming stepped into the crack and disappeared. Even after Lu Ming disappeared, everyone's agitated emotions had not calmed down. It was mainly because of the shock caused by Lu Ming. It was too shocking. When Lu Ming went to the world of divine ruins, Lu Ming's cultivation base was only at a very low level. Now he was able to suppress an emperor. His improvement was too shocking. No, we can't let Lu Ming take the risk alone. Emperor Yuexin, Emperor Tianfeng, you guys guard this place. Mo Yi, barbaric emperor, follow me and head to the World Academy secretly. If Lu Ming is in danger, we'll help him. Xiao Wan ordered. I'll go too. Demon ancestor, I'll go too. Yin Kuangtu and Chu Luo stepped out. Although Chu Luo was injured by Lu Ming, his origin was not damaged. At this moment, his spirit body was recovering quickly. Half of Chu Luo's body that was damaged. Of course, this was because Lu Ming was being merciful. If his origin was injured, it would be impossible for him to recover so quickly. All right, let's go together. After saying that, Xiao Wan tore open space and brought a group of experts to head towards World Academy. The World Academy. The Academy was a place. The White Emperor's white jade palace. Only white palace. Was palace. Was white. The white jade palace floated high up in the sky, emitting a blinding light. The white palace was White Emperor in the army. There were people from the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace, the Heavenly Corpse sect, and the Southern Ming Kingdom. There were also people from the other overlords of the Central Continent. Because they had pledged their allegiance to DE, they were also fighting for hegemony with him. Boom. At the top of the White Jade Palace, there were two stalwart figures. They were enveloped by endless divine light and emitted a terrifying aura. It was the might of a sovereign. The two figures were emperors, and they were currently attacking the White Jade Palace. Inside the White Jade Palace, there were two white-haired old men who also emitted the auras of rulers. They were working together to resist the attacks of the rulers outside. Attack together. This White Jade Palace won't last for long. In the crowd, there was a middle-aged man in a purple robe giving orders. If Lu Ming was here, he would definitely recognize that this person was Wang Shengtian, the head of the Wang clan, one of the 6 great ancient clans of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. Now he was in high spirits. He was one of the first people to follow Martial Emperor De. He was De's trusted aide. Ever since Martial Emperor De revealed his true strength, he had been invincible. The older De Tian Divine Palace got, the stronger he became. However, the powerhouses who joined later on naturally did not have a higher status than him. Only the rulers had a higher status than him. Those supremes were lower than him. They had to curry favor with him and listen to his orders. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless attacks and beams of light shot towards the White Jade Palace from all directions. The White Jade Palace was completely submerged in the beams of light. Block. In the White Jade Palace, the disciples and elders of the World Academy roared. They cooperated with the White Jade Palace's array and attacked, doing their best to block. Rumble. However, there were too many attacks coming from the outside. The White Jade Palace rumbled and shook. If this continued, they would not be able to hold on for long. World Academy, I advise you to quickly surrender. Right now, His Majesty Martial Emperor De is the hero of 10,000 people. By the order of the heavens, he will unify the divine wilderness continent. If you stubbornly resist, you will be courting death. The Wang clan head's voice spread far and wide. Humph. De is ambitious. He wants to rule the divine desolate continent? Dream on. Our World Academy would rather die than surrender. Voices could be heard coming from the White Jade Palace. The Wang clan head's face sank. He snorted coldly and said, "You really don't know your limits. I already gave you a chance, but you don't know how to cherish it. In that case, die. Continue attacking." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Thousands of attacks and beams of light flew towards the White Jade Palace. The intense battle continued. At this moment, 1,000 miles north of the World Academy, the space cracked and Lu Ming's figure stepped out. "Looks like I'm not too late." Lu Ming looked into the distance and muttered. He then took a step forward and headed towards the battlefield. 1,000 miles was crossed by Lu Ming in the blink of an eye. "Who is it? Stop right there." As soon as Lu Ming approached, he was discovered. A group of black-robed martial artists with sinister aura stared at Lu Ming. Na Ming's men. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes as he continued to move forward. Na Ming's men were easy to recognize. "Brat, stop. You're courting death." A third-level spirit god expert slashed at Lu Ming with his blade. Lu Ming stretched out a palm and clenched it in the air. A devouring force erupted from his palm. The third-level spirit god expert was enveloped by the devouring force. His body was fixed in the air and couldn't move at all. Then he was horrified to find that his essence blood, true yuan, and intent runes all flew out of his body and into Lu Ming's palm. Such a strange scene frightened him so much that he screamed. But every few breaths, his body shriveled up and lost all signs of life. What kind of evil technique is this? Let's attack together and kill this person. At the side, the others widened their eyes when they saw this scene. They then roared and charged at Lu Ming. "Devour!" Lu Ming muttered. An even stronger devouring force erupted and enveloped this group of people. This group of people turned into dried corpses and fell to the ground like raindrops. Enemy attack. Enemy attack. Horrified screams resounded. More people discovered Lu Ming and attacked Lu Ming. Chapter 13:18. Regardless of whether they were below the spiritual god realm or above, the outcome was the same. They were devoured and turned into dried corpses. Retreat, retreat. Call the experts over. The army was in chaos, and many people retreated in horror. The army was in chaos because of Lu Ming, and a gap appeared. Who is so bold to attack my Emperor Heaven Divine Palace? There was a loud shout. Following which, figures flashed and more than 10 figures appeared in front of Lu Ming. What a coincidence! Lu Ming's lips curled up slightly. A few of them were Lu Ming's old acquaintances. The Wang family's patriarch, Wang Xingtian, the Jiang family's patriarch, and the Luan family's patriarch. 3 of the 6 ancient families' patriarchs of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace had come. Behind the 3 patriarchs were a dozen people. 3 of them were Supreme Being experts, while the others were at the great circle of the spirit god realm. It's you. The patriarch of the Wang family, Jiang family, and the others were stunned when they saw Lu Ming. They stared at Lu Ming in disbelief. Lu Ming, it's you. Didn't you die? You died in the hands of the celestial god sex genius in the continent of God? After a long while, everyone recovered. The patriarch of the Wang family pointed at Lu Ming and shouted in disbelief. The news that the experts of the Southern God Palace had come to the Divine Wilderness continent and announced Lu Ming's death had spread throughout the Divine Wilderness continent. Almost all the powerful forces knew about it. Wang Xingtian and the others had thought that Lu Ming had died in the continent of God. Now that they saw him, they were naturally shocked. How could I die when you're not dead? Lu Ming smiled faintly. So you're not dead. You're really lucky. However, you're really stupid. Since you're not dead, you should have hidden. Now that you've come here, you're really courting death. I'll fulfill your wish. The patriarch of the Wang family laughed loudly and revealed a ferocious killing intent. He released his aura and locked onto Lu Ming. He was afraid that Lu Ming would escape. With just you? Last time in 9 Dragon City, you managed to escape with your life. This time I won't fail. Lu Ming smiled coldly. You're courting death. The head of the Wang family roared furiously. Last time in 9 Dragon City, Lu Ming had almost killed the Wang family's patriarch with the divine 9-dragon cauldron. This matter was considered taboo by the Wang family's patriarch. Now that Lu Ming had brought it up again in front of everyone, it was a stab to the Wang family's patriarch's heart. Boom. The head of the Wang clan radiated a cold killing intent as he stepped forward. His entire body was covered in purple flames that completely annihilated the void. The temperature of the area rose rapidly. Some of the weaker cultivators were shocked and quickly retreated. I will burn you to ashes. A cold voice came from the Wang clan head's mouth. The Wang clan had pushed his hands forward, and a large purple fireball flew towards Lu Ming. The temperature of the purple fireball was terrifyingly high. Wherever it passed, space was annihilated, revealing black spatial passageways. In an instant, it flew in front of Lu Ming. Die. The Wang clan head laughed sinisterly, but in the next moment his smile stiffened. Lu Ming reached out a hand and grabbed the purple fireball. The purple fireball shrank rapidly and finally turned into a wisp of flame, burning and jumping in Lu Ming's palm. This is your flame? You want to burn me to ashes? In my opinion, it's not even enough to cook a meal. Lu Ming sneered. He then blew a puff of air, and the flame in his palm was extinguished. A slap in the face, a slap in the face. The Wang clan head's face was flushed red. He stared at Lu Ming and wanted to bite Lu Ming to death. Die. The head of the Wang family roared, and the flames on his body became more vigorous. A ball of purple flames appeared on top of his head. Moving his body, he performed bloodline integration and turned into flames. The flames twisted and eventually turned into a purple flaming combat sword that slashed toward Lu Ming. Boom. Lu Ming didn't even look at it and punched the purple sword. A scream was heard as the purple sword shattered. The Wang clan head's figure appeared with blood spurting out of his mouth. His face was filled with fear as he frantically retreated. As soon as the Wang clan head retreated, a series of screams were heard. The path that the Wang clan head took was the army. At least 1,000 people were killed by the Wang clan head. Run. The others screamed and ran as far as they could. A battle between supremes was too dangerous. If they were too close, they wouldn't even know how they died. Today the one who will die is you. Lu Ming stared at the Wang clan head and stepped forward. Save me, save me. The Wang clan head screamed in fear. By the side, the head of the Jiang family, the head of the Luan family, and the rest were initially stunned. Lu Ming had injured the head of the Wang family with one punch. They were really stunned and somewhat in disbelief. Now that the head of the Wang family shouted, they finally regained their senses. Attack, kill him. Kill. The Jiang clan head, Luan clan head, and the others roared and attacked together. 5 supremes attacked at the same time. 5 different rays of light tore through the sky and blasted toward Lu Ming. Get lost. Lu Ming spat out coldly and threw out 5 punches in a row. 5 rays of fist intent tore through the sky. Boom. 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 The fist intent easily shattered the attacks of the 5 supremes. The Jiang clan head, Luan clan head, and the others groaned as they were knocked back while vomiting blood. With just 5 casual punches, 5 supreme beings were heavily injured. Countless people who had retreated far away sucked in a breath of cold air. As for the Wang family head, he was scared half to death. He was dumbfounded. He thought that he was dreaming. How long had it been? Lu Ming had only taken a trip to the Godly Ruins continent. How did he become so strong after returning? Was he still a member of the younger generation? Lu Ming continued to attack the Wang clan head. The Wang clan had roared in fear and desperately retreated into the crowd. He wanted others to block Lu Ming for him. You guys block him. Damn it, how dare you run? I'm the trusted aide of Martial Emperor De. You guys are courting death. I'll kill all of you in the future. The Wang clan had roared. However, the others were not idiots. They all ran away when they saw the Wang clan head coming over. No one blocked Lu Ming for him. Are you kidding? Injuring 5 supremes with a single punch? Aren't they just courting death? The Wang clan had almost lost all hope. Clang. At this moment, the saber gleam exploded in the sky. A black saber gleam cut through the void and slashed toward Lu Ming. Its power was terrifying. The martial emperor had attacked. Boom. A dragon roar came from Lu Ming's body. He then threw out a punch and clashed with the saber light. The saber light was successfully blocked by Lu Ming. Whoosh. A figure appeared in front of Lu Ming. It was an old man in a black robe. He was skinny and his eye sockets were sunken. He looked like a skeleton. However, the aura emanating from his body was extremely frightening, causing one's heart to tremble. He was an emperor. The 3rd emperor of the underworld. Chapter 1319. There were only 5 or 6 sovereigns in Nanming Kingdom, and they were all ranked. The 1st emperor of the underworld was the most powerful, followed by the 2nd emperor of the underworld. The 3rd emperor of the underworld was the most powerful. When the 3rd emperor of the underworld attacked, the family head of the Wang family was overjoyed. He thought that he was saved. 3rd emperor of the underworld, His Majesty De wants to capture this man. Quick, kill him and His Majesty will reward you handsomely. The family head of the Wang family shouted. Such combat strength at such a young age is rare. It's a pity that you don't know how to keep a low profile and come here. I'll send you on your way, hee hee. The 3rd emperor of the underworld laughed. His voice was dry and unpleasant, like that of a skeleton. His body was covered in a large black robe, which covered his entire body. It looked like a piece of black cloth floating in the air. Netherworld realm, turn into my netherworld chi. The 3rd emperor of the underworld smiled hideously. A black realm spread out and shrouded Lu Ming. The speed of the realm was extremely fast. As soon as it appeared, it covered an area with a radius of 100 miles. Lu Ming was also shrouded in it. Suddenly, he felt countless black shadows pouncing on Lu Ming. Endless netherworld chi penetrated Lu Ming's skin and tried to corrode Lu Ming and turn him into netherworld chi. Clang. At the same time, a black saber appeared in the 3rd emperor of the underworld's hand, and he slashed at Lu Ming. In his own realm, the 3rd emperor of the underworld's speed was extremely fast. As soon as the saber slashed out, it was in front of Lu Ming. Wind origin skill. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He used the wind origin skill, and his body moved without wind. He swayed slightly and dodged the third emperor of the underworld's attack. At the same time, he threw out a punch. Clang! The fist force hit the side of the saber, and there was a loud bang. The third emperor of the underworld's body trembled, and he could not help but take 2 steps back. As for Lu Ming, he also took a few steps back with a bang. Such powerful strength. The third emperor of the underworld was shocked. Netherworld body. The third emperor of the underworld's body trembled, and his entire body collapsed, transforming into a mass of underworld chi. Combined with his underworld domain, it enveloped heaven and earth. Everything within 100 miles of the nether domain was filled with nether chi. Spirit bodies were formed from the condensation of blood vessels, and they possessed some of the characteristics of blood vessels. Different spirit bodies had different mysteries and effects. Some spirit bodies were more attack-oriented, some were more defensive-oriented, and some were more speed-oriented. For example, the spiritual body of the third emperor of the underworld could transform into underworld chi and launch attacks. Whoosh! 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 Lu Ming was shrouded in the aura of the netherworld. There were bursts of air-piercing sounds all around him. Countless saber gleams slashed toward Lu Ming from an unknown direction. Fire element technique, lightning element technique. With a thought, Lu Ming converted the chaos concept into the fire concept and thunder concept. A long spear condensed from flames appeared in Lu Ming's right hand, and a long spear condensed from lightning appeared in his left hand. Whoosh! The long spear of flames swept out in all directions with a force that could wipe out an army. Fire and lightning were the natural enemies of underworld chi. Moreover, the fire concept and thunder concept were condensed from the fire concept and thunder concept. The power of the 2 concepts was even more shocking. As the long spear of flames swept out, the dark underworld chi exploded. The saber lights that were slashing at Lu Ming collapsed one by one. Even the nether domain shook violently, as if it would explode at any time. Over there, Lu Ming's eyes were fixed in front of him. The long spear of lightning in his left hand shot out. Ah! A scream came from that place. Then, the third emperor of the underworld appeared and retreated. There was a hole in his shoulder, and there were flashes of lightning flashing. How could this be? The Wang family head, the Jiang family head, and the others opened their eyes wide and looked at the scene in disbelief. The third emperor of the underworld was injured. An emperor was injured by Lu Ming. How could this be? Lu Ming could even injure an emperor. Whoosh! Lu Ming used the wind concept, and his body flashed. He quickly approached the third emperor of the underworld and threw out a punch. This punch was a combination of the earth element technique, fire element technique, and thunder element technique. The third emperor of the underworld's territory shook violently. It only lasted for a breath before it exploded. The terrifying power of the 3 martial skills of wills landed on the third emperor of the underworld's body. The third emperor of the underworld screamed in agony as his body flew far away. Half of his body exploded and his aura weakened. Run, run. There was only one thought in the Wang family head's mind, and that was to run. Lu Ming was too monstrous. How old was he? His combat strength was unimaginably strong. Even the third emperor of the underworld was not a match for him. After exchanging a few blows, he was almost dead. If he did not run, he would die. Wang Xingtian, I said, you will die today. Lu Ming's cold voice sounded. He used the wind concept and caught up with the Wang family head in a few flashes. No, please spare my life. Death was imminent. The Wang family head broke down and begged bitterly. He did not care about being a sovereign or his reputation. Compared to his life, these were nothing. Lu Ming looked at the Wang family head coldly. There was no pity in his eyes. Once upon a time, the Wang family head was a supreme existence in Lu Ming's eyes. He was a sovereign who could kill him with a single finger. But things had changed. Now the Wang family head was nothing in front of Lin Fan. He could easily kill him. The world was unpredictable. Who could predict it? Lu Ming was growing rapidly. Unknowingly, Lu Ming had become a top figure in the divine wilderness continent. Those who once needed to look up to him had to look up to him now. Go to hell. An indifferent voice came from Lu Ming's mouth. His palm was like a knife as it struck out. No, if I die, you will die too. The Wang family head roared. Knowing that he was going to die, a ruthless look flashed in his eyes. The aura on his body became violent. He was going to self-destruct. Humph. Lu Ming snorted coldly. His palms suddenly exerted force. A phantom of the prison-suppressing monument flashed and suppressed the Wang family head. The Wang family head did not even have the chance to scream before he was crushed into pieces and died on the spot. In front of Lu Ming, he could not even self-destruct. It's your turn. Lu Ming looked at the head of the Jiang family and the head of the Luan family. Back then, in the Battle of Nine Dragons City, the family heads of the 6 ancient families had all attacked Lu Ming. Among them, the Jiang family head, the Luan family head, and the Wang family had all wanted to kill Lu Ming. Lu Ming had always kept this grudge in his heart. Today he would kill them all. Run, run. The Jiang family head and the Luan family had desperately rushed into the sky, because there were sovereigns there. But how fast was Lu Ming? He took a step and appeared behind them. He activated the prison-suppressing heaven skill and struck out twice. The 2 family heads were dead. Third Underworld Emperor. Chapter 1320. The third emperor of the Netherworld's expression changed, and he quickly retreated. Broken Mountain Martial Emperor, let's attack together. The third emperor of the Netherworld shouted. There was another martial emperor in the sky. He was the martial emperor of an overlord force in the central continent. Previously, he had sided with DE and attacked the World Academy together with the third emperor of the Netherworld. This time, only the 2 martial emperors from Dtian Divine Palace had come. Kill. The Broken Mountain Martial Emperor was burly and he was more than 3 meters tall. He held a large saber in his hand and slashed toward Lu Ming. At the same time, while the third emperor of the Netherworld was healing his injuries, he also attacked Lu Ming. The 2 martial emperors joined forces to attack Lu Ming. Boom. Boom. Lu Ming threw out 2 consecutive punches. His fists were filled with chaos. This was not the chaotic will. Lu Ming had combined the 5 martial techniques of the 5 wills. The first to bear the brunt were the 2 martial emperors' realms. The 2 realms covered Lu Ming's body and continuously consumed Lu Ming's attacks. Invisible attacks continued to attack Lu Ming. Lu Ming's punches caused the realms to vibrate. Lu Ming charged into the realms and fought with the 2 martial emperors. The Broken Mountain Martial Emperor was burly, and he was known for his attacks and strength. However, after exchanging 1 blow with Lu Ming, he was still forced to retreat. If not for the third emperor of the Netherworld's help, Lu Ming could have defeated the Broken Mountain Martial Emperor. Even so, Lu Ming still had the upper hand at the start of the battle. Lu Ming, that is Lu Ming. A group of people stood in the White Jade Palace of the World Academy. Among them, there were familiar figures that Lu Ming was familiar with, such as Kong Xian and Sandalwood Fairy. The Medicine King Valley did not have any martial emperors. In this chaotic world, it was difficult for them to protect themselves. However, the Medicine King Valley and the World Academy were on good terms. Hence, the Medicine King Valley had joined the World Academy and moved to the World Academy. The person who had spoken earlier was Kong Xian. His voice was filled with disbelief as he stared into the distance. It's Lu Ming. He didn't die. This is too shocking. Lu Ming can actually suppress emperors, and there are 2 emperors. Sandalwood Fairy's beautiful eyes were also wide open. Her voice was full of shock. Originally, when the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace launched an attack on the World Academy, they had already defended it for a few days. If this continued, it would only be a matter of time before they were breached. However, when they discovered that the army of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace was in chaos, they thought that it was the Heaven Suppression Army or Xielwan from the northern plains that had sent reinforcements. In the end, they discovered that there was only one person who had sent reinforcements, a young man. To their disbelief, they discovered that this youth was actually Lu Ming. It was rumored that Lu Ming had died in the Godly Ruins continent. And the battle prowess that Lu Ming displayed shocked them even more. What a rare talent. Beside Kong Xian, a white-haired elder sighed. This white-haired elder was one of the 2 great emperors of the World Academy. Dean, this is a rare opportunity. I feel that we should rush out and cooperate with Lu Ming to defeat the army of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. Sandalwood Fairy suggested. Wait a minute. The Emperor of the World Academy said. The Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace has come to attack our World Academy. They won't only send 2 emperors. Perhaps there are still emperors hiding in the dark. Now that Lu Ming has the upper hand, we shouldn't be in a hurry to take action. It won't be too late to take action after we see the situation of the enemy. Kong Xian, Sandalwood Fairy, and the rest nodded. Indeed, now that Lu Ming had the upper hand, the one who should be anxious should be the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace, not them. If the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace still had emperors hiding in the dark, they wouldn't be able to hold back for long and would take action. In the void tens of thousands of miles away in the north, Xiao Wan and the rest were hiding and looking into the distance. Even though Lu Ming had already defeated Chu Luo, they still couldn't hide their astonishment when they saw Lu Ming's combat prowess. Mo Ancestor, should we take action now and wipe out this group of people from the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace? Mo Yi asked. Wait a minute. The Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace might have experts hiding in the dark. We should act according to the situation. Xiao Wan said. Boom. 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 High in the sky, 3 figures crisscrossed and engaged in an intense battle. Every time they clashed, there would be a muffled explosion. It was like the beginning of the universe and the beginning of the universe. The terrifying shockwaves caused some people's eardrums to ring loudly. Their bodies trembled, and they vomited blood. The army of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace retreated again and again, distancing themselves from the battlefield. Dang. Lu Ming executed the martial techniques of 5 different states. Its might was shocking. He punched out and struck the Broken Mountain Martial Monarch's battle saber. The Broken Mountain Martial Monarch's body shook violently and was sent flying. Following this, Lu Ming flipped his left hand and chopped down with his palm. The underworld chi churned, and the 3rd underworld monarch was also sent flying. Kill. Lu Ming's body was as fast as lightning. In a flash, he dashed towards the 3rd underworld monarch. Terrifying attacks continuously rained down on the 3rd underworld monarch. The 3rd underworld monarch tried his best, but he could not block them. Wherever Lu Ming's fist passed, the underworld chi was destroyed. The 3rd underworld monarch cried out in pain, and his body almost exploded. On the other side, the Broken Mountain Martial Monarch rushed over to help. Buzz. The lightning cauldron appeared above Lu Ming's head and smashed towards the Broken Mountain Martial Monarch. As Lu Ming's cultivation increased, the power of the lightning cauldron increased when he controlled it. The lightning cauldron and the Broken Mountain Martial Monarch's battle saber collided. Although the lightning cauldron was sent flying, it had blocked the Broken Mountain Martial Monarch's attack. That was enough. Kill. Lu Ming charged towards the 3rd underworld monarch and punched out. The underworld chi exploded, and the 3rd underworld monarch cried out in pain. Half of his body had exploded, and his aura was weak. His injuries had worsened. The 3rd underworld monarch's underworld body was mysterious and unpredictable. If it had been any other martial monarch, they would have been severely injured by Lu Ming's attack. Even so, the 3rd underworld monarch was terrified. He turned around and ran. He was afraid. If this continued, he would be killed by Lu Ming. You can't escape. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with killing intent. He walked towards the 3rd underworld monarch step by step. At the same time, Lu Ming's mind was highly focused, and his spiritual senses spread out in all directions. He seemed to be waiting for something. After a few steps, Lu Ming closed in on the 3rd underworld monarch. His terrifying attack was about to land on the 3rd underworld monarch. Bastard, how dare you! At that moment, a cold shout came from the sky. As soon as the voice was heard, a golden sword light descended from the sky and slashed towards Lu Ming's head. Danger! Facing the golden sword light, Lu Ming's hair stood on end. His heart trembled as he sensed that he was in mortal danger. Roar! Without hesitation, the 9 dragons' bloodline appeared. Lu Ming performed the bloodline fusion and turned into 9 dragons. Boom! Boom! The 9 dragons stepped on each of their claws. Each of their claws was a fusion of 5 different wills, and they attacked the golden sword light. An ear-piercing sound came from the sky. The golden sword light was extremely sharp, and it could cut through everything. The attacks formed by the 5 different wills were broken by the golden sword light. The 9 dragons were shocked and they could not help but retreat. They retreated for 1,000 miles before they could stabilize themselves. In the end, 3 of the 9 dragon claws were cut off. Chapter 13:21. What a powerful force. What a terrifying sword chi. Lu Ming was shocked. He had transformed into 9 dragons and performed a martial skill that combined 5 wills. Apart from the chaotic will, this was Lu Ming's strongest combat strength. However, he still could not resist the sword chi. He was pushed back 1,000 miles and 3 of his dragon claws were cut off. The power of the golden sword chi was extremely terrifying. Whoosh! High up in the sky, a golden light flashed and a figure appeared. It was an old man with thick bones and a burly figure. He wore a golden robe that fluttered in the wind, and he exuded a majestic aura. A terrifying aura radiated from the old man in the golden robe, causing the sky to tremble. Peak LV2 Martial Royal Realm. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he looked extremely serious. The old man in the golden robe was at the same level as Xiaowan and De. He was extremely powerful. The difference between each level of the Martial Royal Realm was huge. The difference between LV2 Martial Royal Realm and LV1 Martial Royal Realm was obvious. It was not difficult for a LV2 Martial Royal Realm to kill a LV1 Martial Royal Realm cultivator, not to mention a peak LV2 Martial Royal Realm cultivator. Elder Di Hongcheng, the 3rd Emperor of the Underworld, and Martial Emperor Pashan were overjoyed when they saw the old man. His surname is Di? Lu Ming frowned. Xiaowan had said that there were 2 peak LV2 Martial Royal Realm cultivators beside De, and they both had royal spiritual weapons. Lu Ming had a lot of questions in his heart. A peak 2nd layer Martial Dominator Realm cultivator was not as common as cabbages. One could easily find one. In the Divine Wilderness continent, there were only Xiaowan and De. Where did the 2 peak LV2 Martial Royal Realm cultivators beside De come from? Moreover, they both had royal spiritual weapons. Now he knew that one of them had the same surname as De. What was going on? Rumor had it that De Tian Divine Palace was built by Martial Emperor De. At that time, there was only Martial Emperor De, and no one had heard that he had a family with the same surname. Later on, Martial Emperor De had a descendant, and the De clan was born? Could this old man be De's descendant? Impossible. Lu Ming felt that this old man was even older than De. Lu Ming had more questions in his heart. He felt that De was more mysterious than he had imagined. Di Hongqing stood high up in the sky and looked down at Lu Ming. However, it was not difficult to see the astonishment and disbelief in his eyes. He seemed to be amazed by Lu Ming's age and combat strength. So you're Lu Ming. Lu Ming, it's not bad for you to have such cultivation and battle strength at your age. I think you're a talent. Why don't you join our De family? As long as you perform well, the De family won't mistreat you. Di Hongqing asked. His tone revealed a sense of superiority, as if he was looking down on others. This wasn't Di Hongqing's intention. It was as if he was born to be high and mighty, looking down on others. Hee hee. Lu Ming let out a faint laugh and stared at Di Hongqing instead of answering. After a while, Lu Ming said, You're not from the Godly Desolation continent, right? Or are you not from the Godly Desolation continent? Lu Ming had met all the geniuses of the Godly Desolation continent, and none of them had the surname Di. Di Hongqing was slightly startled, as if he had not expected Lu Ming to ask such a question all of a sudden. He then let out a hollow laugh and said, That's none of your business. Now are you going to surrender or not? Surrender? Sure, but I have a condition. Give me Di's head, and I'll surrender. Lu Ming said with a calm smile. Impudent. Di Hongqing's expression turned dark as a murderous intent burst out from his body. He said in a cold voice, Lu Ming, I was planning to give you a chance since you're quite talented, but you didn't take it. I guess I'll have to send you on your way. Di Hongqing clenched his fist in the air, and a golden battle sword was formed. Sword Chi shot up into the sky. Slash. Di Hongqing shouted softly and slashed with his golden combat sword. A terrifying sword aura that was thousands of miles long split the sky and slashed toward Lu Ming. It was even more powerful than the previous attack. Primal Chaos. 9 dragons stepped into the air as Primal Chaos Chi surrounded Di Hongqing's body. Facing an expert like Di Hongqing, Lu Ming no longer hid his strength and unleashed it with all his might. Suppressing Hell Art. Lu Ming executed the Suppressing Hell Art as a dragon claw clawed at the golden sword light. The dragon claw was covered with the primal chaos intent. The primal chaos intent combined with the Suppressing Hell Art could unleash its full power. Boom. The dragon claw clashed with the golden sword light. It was as if the entire world was shaking, as if it was the end of the world. Half of the sky was filled with golden sword light, while the other half was filled with primal chaos. Di Hongqing and Lu Ming's figures were pushed back by an invisible force. They could not help but retreat simultaneously. How is this possible? The Broken Mountain Martial Dominator and the Third Underworld Emperor stared with their eyes wide open. They could not believe their eyes. Lu Ming had managed to block Di Hongqing's attack. Not only that, it seemed like they were on par with each other, as they were both pushed back. This meant that Lu Ming was able to stand his ground against Di Hongqing. Lu Ming had not used his full strength when he was fighting against them. Upon having this thought, they could feel a chill down their spines. If Lu Ming had used his full strength, wouldn't they be dead meat? Gulp. Gulp. Inside the White Jade Palace of the World Academy, Kong Xian, Sandalwood Fairy, the two martial dominators of the World Academy, and the rest of the experts swallowed their saliva with great difficulty. Their eyes were wide open as they stared into the distance. Sigh. The gap between us and Lu Ming is getting bigger. After a while, Kong Xian let out a sigh. His voice was filled with helplessness. Lu Ming is not on the same level as us to begin with. He is destined to be more brilliant and go further in the future. Sandalwood Fairy's eyes flickered with excitement. Indeed, he's already standing at the peak of the Divine Desolation continent at such a young age. I wonder how great his future will be. One of the martial dominators of the World Academy let out a sigh. In the northern sky, Xiao Wan and the others stared with their eyes open wide. Chu Luo's figure trembled violently. He could not find any words after a long time. They had initially thought it was shocking enough that Lu Ming was able to defeat Chu Luo and defeat an ordinary martial dominator. However, they now realized that they had underestimated Lu Ming. Lu Ming was able to fight against a peak second-layer martial dominator realm cultivator. In other words, Lu Ming's strength was on par with Xiao Wan's. Lu Ming. Among the crowd, Yin Kuangtu was the most excited. He clenched his fists in excitement. I was right about him. Xiao Wan's eyes flickered. He knew that he had made the right bet. Emperor Sword, shattering the heavens. Di Hongqing's furious voice could be heard. He had been knocked back by Lu Ming. While he was astonished, it also triggered his murderous intent. Chapter 1322. The attack of a peak LV2 Martial Royal Realm Cultivator was earth-shattering and powerful. The Third Emperor of the Underworld and Martial Emperor Pashan were terrified by the attack. They felt that they had no hope of being killed by the attack. Lu Ming, Kong Xian and the others in the White Jade Palace, as well as Xiao Wan and the others in the north, became nervous. Xiao Wan in particular was ready to help. The combat strength of a peak LV2 Martial Royal Realm Cultivator is indeed terrifying. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and the 9 dragons twisted their bodies. They opened their mouths and a devouring force burst out. At the same time, the illusory figure of the suppressing prison monument appeared in front of them. Boom. Once again, it clashed with the golden sword radiance and a terrifying explosion occurred. The illusory figure of the suppressing prison monument was destroyed by the golden sword radiance, but the golden sword radiance also collapsed. Swoosh. Swoosh. The 9 dragons and Di Hongqing retreated at the same time. This time, Di Hongqing retreated a shorter distance while Lu Ming retreated a longer distance. The 9 dragons' bodies were trembling slightly, and there were sword marks all over them. Light was shining on the 9 dragons' bodies. The bodies of the 9 dragons seemed to have become less solid and more illusory. Without becoming a martial emperor and a spiritual body, the power of your bloodline is limited. Let's see how you are going to fight me. Di Hongqing sneered and his eyes were cold. The power of the bloodline was limited after all. The more intense the fight, the more bloodline power would be consumed. Once the power of the bloodline was used up, the bloodline fusion could not be maintained. Only when the power of the bloodline was recovered could the bloodline fusion be used again. It was obvious that Lu Ming's 9 dragons bloodline was about to be used up. Therefore, the 9 dragons were becoming illusory. I will kill you with this attack. Di Hongqing stepped forward and the golden sword radiance became even more dazzling. Emperor's sword, break the world. Swoosh. The golden sword radiance slashed toward Lu Ming again, and it was filled with murderous intent. Di Hongqing wanted to kill Lu Ming with this attack. Puff. The 9 dragons' bloodline burst like a bubble. However, Lu Ming's real body did not appear. Instead, a stone tablet appeared. The suppressing prison monument. The prison-suppressing steel expanded to the size of a mountain, emitting a blinding light. Below him, the word steel shone brightly. Wang. The prison-suppressing steel was covered with a layer of chaotic intent, which made it feel even heavier, as if it could suppress everything. The prison-suppressing steel suppressed the golden sword light. The second 9th grade divine bloodline. Di Hongqing narrowed his eyes. The prison-suppressing steel's bloodline collided with the golden sword light. The lower part of the prison-suppressing steel's bloodline was solid, indestructible and indestructible. The prison-suppressing steel trembled and flew back. The golden sword light also collapsed in an instant. Di Hongqing was also pushed back by the counterattack. This time, Di Hongqing retreated even further than Lu Ming. This caused Di Hongqing's expression to turn extremely ugly. The prison-suppressing steel's bloodline is indeed stronger than the 9 dragons' bloodline. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Whoosh. At this moment, Di Hongqing's body seemed to have turned into a golden sword light, breaking through the void and rapidly approaching Lu Ming. Bring it on! Lu Ming's voice resounded from the prison-suppressing steel. The prison-suppressing steel glowed and charged towards Di Hongqing. Clang! The heavens and the earth exploded as the 2 figures retreated, then charged at each other again. Only the 2 figures could be seen clashing and exchanging blows. Explosions continued to sound in the sky. The shockwaves from their exchange grew more and more terrifying, causing the spectators to retreat further and further. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them had exchanged more than 10 blows. Although Lu Ming had a slight